Why some college students don't take medication. When we go to college, it's a time to be free, to fly from the nest, and to prove to the world we can make it on our own. So we often blow off our medication and ADD when we get to school, saying we don't have ADD or don't want to use it as an excuse. We stop the medication that worked for us so well in high school. Our friends may also pressure us, and we don't want to cheat or give ourselves an unfair advantage. When you're at school, you're bombarded with 10 times, maybe 100 times the stimulus, demands, and responsibilities of high school. Now is not the time to go playing hero, until you're sure you have a college track record of success. And if you're struggling in school and medication's prescribed, there's probably a reason. Since you've come this far, you might as well see if they'll help. Should you stop taking medication over the summer or while on break? Ever heard of taking a medication vacation? That term drives me batty. Medication vacation. A vacation from your medicine. Is that like taking a break from your prescription glasses or from your insulin? Our minds are fantastic machines when we have our focus under control, and I for one never want this taken away from me. I think the idea that a break from medication is a good thing can hurt students. If you need medication to work best on them, why take a vacation from clarity and risk messing things up? Personally, I know my brain. I know I'm confused, overwhelmed, and flooded with information when I'm not on medication. I also know that in all the bike racing I've ever done, all of my serious accidents have happened when I was not on medication. If you don't have an alternative plan for keeping your ADD under control, I highly suggest keeping up with the medication. Medication Mythbuster number 1. Youth today are being tranquilized. This is a common fallacy. Most ADD medications are stimulants like caffeine. They help calm down the ADD mind and allow us to focus better because we don't have enough chemical stimulant or neurotransmitter activity in our brains. Without the medication, our minds grab for every stimuli available to wake up and focus. Stimulants don't tranquilize anyone. Medication Mythbuster number 2. ADD medications are gateway drugs. Actually, it's quite the opposite. On medication, we're far less likely to become addicts, not more. First off, in correct doses of the correct medication, ADD medication is anything but addictive. There's no rush, no high, or no craving. Secondly, by helping our brains see more clearly, we're a lot less likely to try and self-medicate. Studies have shown a decrease in addiction among those on medication since they reduce the craving for other drugs, including even coffee and nicotine. Last, since we're less impulsive on medication, we're a lot less likely to try something stupid. And as we're feeling better, we crave more the success we're having, so we'd rather tune into the world more rather than use illicit drugs to block it out. Medication Mythbuster number 3. Medication gives you an unfair advantage. I'm sorry to say, but medication isn't IQ in a bottle. It's too bad, but it can't and it won't turn us into instant Einsteins. Our intelligence is something we're born with, not something that came with a pill. Sure, we'll be able to use our intelligence and talent more when we can focus and see the world around us, but everyone else can already do that, so that's not an unfair advantage. Medication Mythbuster number 4. ADD goes away as an adult. In other words, I don't need medication in college. I was one of the many students who fell into this trap. I thought it went away after high school, or to have it treated after high school was just an excuse. After one terrible episode of trying to get help for ADD from a psychiatrist who didn't believe in ADD, I even became hostile to the term. There is no blankety-blanking ADD, I'd say. It's just an excuse. We've often been trained to believe we should make it on our own in college, that there are no excuses, and because of this, stop our medication in college or refuse to look at them, even when there's clearly something wrong. But ADD doesn't go away as an adult. Sure, we may gain better coping mechanisms and strategies, but our minds are still our minds. If we needed medication in high school, chances are now, when things are even more demanding, we'll certainly need to keep taking them. After all, it's when the screws are tightened, when we're required to juggle 20 balls instead of 10, that our ADD starts raging out of control and wreaking havoc. Medication Mythbuster number 5. Medication should be a last resort. If my parents thought of medication as a last resort, I'd never be here today, and I certainly wouldn't be writing this book. I've been diagnosed with ADD twice, once as a kid and a second time in college. When I was first diagnosed, I was in serious trouble. I was getting straight Fs and a major disciplinary problem. Not a day went by when I wasn't sent to the principal's office. Teachers didn't want me in their classes, and my future in school was in grave danger. But when I was put on meds halfway through second grade, I calmed down, focused, and started to get consistent A's. I went from a delinquent to someone who took the time to listen and to learn. It wasn't the be-all, end-all, but I never could have done that without medications to focus, concentrate, and overcome my impulsivity. So it's my greatest frustration that more and more of us are thinking medication should be a last resort. I think it's like saying insulin or glasses should be a last resort. According to study after study, medications today are safe and have been proven effective 90 to 95% of the time. You'd wear glasses if your vision was blurry, right? So why wouldn't you do that if your concentration's out of focus? Medication Mythbuster number 6. If you try medication, you're weak and lack discipline. This is right out of the dark ages. Is there ever enough beating, punishment, or self-criticism we can do to produce more chemical activity in our brains? In many ways, our society's stuck in another era. We wouldn't call someone weak when treating a medical condition, but when it comes to being something in the mind, well, that's a different story. What's the difference between a chemical problem in the body versus one in the head? If you don't have enough neurotransmitter activity, the right medication can help. How does that make you weak? Many of us refuse to take medication in college even after we're struggling or about to flunk out. Even more decide to stop taking medication as soon as college begins. A common mantra is, I don't have ADD and I don't need a crutch. I can do it on my own. I'm with you. I believe you, and I'm sure you can succeed without medication. But before you take yourself off of your medication, here's my suggestion. Medications help you to focus, concentrate, and see the problems. Stay on meds early in your college career, or get on them if you've been struggling. Once you've put the other pieces of the puzzle in place, such as diet, exercise, a stable routine, good study habits, and more, then look at what you can use to replace the medications such as meditation, herbal remedies, brainwave training, nutraceuticals, and more. Why? Because once you have the foundation in place, it's much easier to keep on track without the medication, and the experience with medication lets you know if the alternatives are effective or not. What about just taking medication during class? Take medication as the doctor prescribes, not just during class hours. Remember, if you need them to focus in class, you probably need them to focus out of class. Life doesn't stop when you're out of the classroom. It's almost contradictory, but we must remain hypervigilant of trouble and danger when we're not on our meds. That's when we get into trouble, such as late at night when our impulsivity is high, we're tired and not thinking our most clearly, and our medication has completely worn off. Additionally, it's the work outside of class that helps us do well in class. If you need your medication to focus and concentrate, you'll need them for reading, studying, organizing, writing, and doing assignments. These are all after-class activities. Will I lose my personality on medication? I have had students worry about trying medication because of how it might feel. They were afraid they'd lose control of themselves, their personalities, or perhaps their life would turn into a scene out of The Exorcist. Well, it's really not that dramatic, and you're not going to feel a sudden rush. You might have a great sense of clarity, but it won't come over you in a wave as if you just took a drag off of a cigarette or something. While the wrong medication or the wrong dose can have adverse effects, in general, you'll still be the same person you were. You may be less impulsive, less likely to say something you might regret, or to have a quick comeback, but that's just because you're thinking a little more clearly. I've had some artists say they're more creative off of medication. I'd say if you're doing what you love, you may not need the medication or need less of them because your mind already is stimulated and will open up and allow you to focus. If this is the case, perhaps medication might change your creativity a bit. I know for myself, I'm a pretty straightforward writer on medication, and a pretty goofy one once the medication wears off.